Learning to balance your glucose levels is like learning about the most important lever in the cockpit of the plane. Most of us are eating in a way that gives way too much glucose too quickly to our body. It's not about cutting anything out, it's about learning to place the foods and organize better. Just stick around till the end to learn about the 6 hacks that would still let you eat everything you love but without creating these spikes. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Welcome back to the Pod Digest. In this video, we summarize the podcast episode from the diary of a CEO podcast titled The Scary New Research on Sugar and How They Made You Addicted to It, from Jessie Inchauspé. Jessie Inchauspé, the glucose goddess, is a biochemist and an author teaching us the best hacks to eat right without giving up the foods that we love. So, what is glucose? Glucose is your body's favorite source of energy. The brain cells are using glucose to think, speak, and move. Every single cell in your body uses glucose for energy. The main way that we give our body this important substance is through eating 2 types of foods, starchy and sugary foods. When you flood your body with too much glucose too quickly, what happens is a glucose spike. Most people who don't have diabetes still experience blood sugar spikes daily without knowing it. For years, we thought only if you have diabetes should your glucose levels be of any concern to you. If you don't have diabetes, you don't have to worry. But now we know everybody can suffer from these spikes without knowing. The most common symptom of glucose spikes are cravings for sweet foods multiple times a day. So, when you have a cookie, glucose level increases, and then a glucose drop after that has been shown to activate the craving center in your brain, literally, telling you to find something sweet quickly. When we eat something sweet, it releases a molecule called dopamine in our brain. Humans love dopamine. It is a pleasure molecule. When you eat something sweet, it's a really easy way to get a hit, and dopamine is addictive. When you cut out sugar completely, you realize those cravings go away because you no longer have the spikes and the dopamine addiction. And the way nature intended us to consume glucose was through plants. Fruit back in the day were much smaller, much less sweet. They had way more seeds and fiber in them. But human beings have been breeding plants and fruits to be extra sweet, extra juicy. The bananas and the oranges you see today are not natural. They are the results of years of breeding. And then humans were like, how can we make this go even further? We have extracted the sugar from the fruits and concentrate it into table sugar. And then how about we put that in drinks and make sodas or fruit juice? So we have created this food landscape that is causing glucose spikes. The marketing message about food, the confusing packaging, the confusing advice, the fads all add to it. The 2 most common short-term symptoms of the spikes are cravings and unsteady energy levels. Like feeling tired throughout the day, having chronic fatigue, maybe you need a lot of coffee to get through the day, picking up the groceries is exhausting. You know you're eating, but you feel tired. Why does this happen? The more glucose spikes you have, the more the neurons in your brain are going to work less well. This causes brain fog, the feeling like you can't really remember things too well. That's basically your neurons not being able to communicate as quickly as they usually do. Also, there's a huge link between glucose and long-term brain problems like dementia and Alzheimer's. Some people even call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because it's so linked to your glucose levels. The more spikes you have, the less restful and deep your sleep will be. If you're somebody going through menopause and you want to reduce symptoms, looking at your glucose levels is a very important place. There's also a huge link between glucose levels and fertility. In females today, there's more and more rates of infertility. PCOS, also known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, is also related to your sugar levels. Skin inflammation in the form of acne, eczema, psoriasis is a direct consequence. The more glucose spikes you have in your body, the faster you age, and that shows on your skin as wrinkles, and on the inside, things slowly deteriorate and break down. So glucose affects every single system in the body. Balancing your glucose levels is a really, really important place to start. Then what happens to our bodies when we have a glucose spike? And this happens on a cellular level. First, mitochondria turn glucose into energy. They break down when you give them too much glucose to handle. When your mitochondria break down, it increases stress and inflammation. The second thing that happens is this thing called glycation, which is aging. The more spikes you have, the more glycation happens quickly. Finally, your body really wants to keep you alive. It's really trying to protect you, and so it has a technique that it deploys when a glucose spike is happening to get that level of glucose down. Your body releases insulin, which comes from your pancreas. Insulin grabs all the extra glucose and stores it away into your muscles, liver, and fat cells. When insulin levels are high, fat cells become like a one-way street. Things can go in to make them grow in size and quantity. And that's one of the ways that you gain fat, as nothing can come out. The more insulin, the harder it is to lose any fat. The chronic deployment of insulin is called type 2 diabetes. When you have a lot of insulin, it's a bit more like it stops working. So over time, your body becomes less sensitive to it. It doesn't really obey it anymore very well. And that's called insulin resistance. And that then leads to type 2 diabetes. While insulin is cool, too much insulin in the long term is the cause of type 2 diabetes. The more insulin in female body, the higher testosterone levels gets. There are hacks to prevent glucose spikes. These hacks have been around for a very long time, but now we understand how they work. Hack 1, eat food in the right order. If you eat your meal in a specific order, you can reduce the glucose spike of that meal by up to 75% without changing how much you're eating, what you're eating. The right order is veggies first, proteins and fats second, and starches and sugars at last. You don't have to wait between any of these, just eat them one after the other. But the veggies should come first. Vegetables contain fiber. Hack 2, stop counting calories. Calorie is the measure of how much heat is required to break down a molecule of food. Calories in a food gives us no information about the actual contents of the food. Take 2 books that are 500 pages each. Would you call them the same just because they both have 500 pages? Hack 3, have a savory breakfast, one that contains protein. We shouldn't eat anything sweet at all for breakfast except whole fruit. While a piece of whole fruit is the best to eat, the problem starts when we denature fruits by blending, pureeing, juicing it. Fruit juicing is essentially getting rid of all the protective fiber. The concentrated sugar that's been bred into that piece of fruit is being given to your body in a really fast way. The speed of delivery is important. The faster sugar arrives, the more your mitochondria get hurt and more spikes. Hack 4, have 1 tablespoon of vinegar in a tall glass of water before a meal. Vinegar contains acetic acid. Acetic acid does 2 main things: slows down the process to break down starch to glucose. It goes to your muscles and tells your muscles to soak up glucose as it arrives into your body. So glucose arrives more slowly in the bloodstream and muscles soak it up as it gets there. Hack 5, after you eat, move. When your muscles contract, they need energy to do so. The first place they look for energy is in the glucose in your bloodstream. You can use your muscles in lots of different ways. Go for a walk, clean your apartment, play with your dog. There's a muscle in your calf called the soleus muscle, which is extra good at soaking up glucose. After a meal at work, while you're at your desk, do some calf raises. Hack 6, putting clothing on your carbs. When eating starches and sugars, add some protein, fat, or fiber. A protein-centric breakfast is really key to making sure you have lots of energy all day. The hacks are there for people to pick and choose from. You're supposed to do them as you wish. You don't have to do everything all the time. It's like information from science, and then you decide what you do with it. Once people understand how their dietary habits are impacting them, and once they make changes, their whole universe upgrades. The poor energy, cravings, acne, bad sleep, hormonal issues can vanish and reconnect with their true selves. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.